Hi, I'm Erica, and today, instead of doing a bento box, I'm going to give you some tips for your holiday cooking and baking. In addition to bento boxes, I went to culinary school for baking and pastry, and I worked as a pastry cook and a pastry chef in several different kitchens, and I worked in food service for, oh my gosh, worked a ton of different jobs in food service. So I have a lot of experience with it, and I've been able to apply that to days where I have like a party or a lot of people coming over, or even, you know, Thanksgiving this year is just me and my boyfriend. So even if it's just a meal for two people, but it's more than you would usually make. So I made a list of some things that have helped me, and maybe they'll help you. The most important thing for me is having a prep list. So when you work in a kitchen, every day the first thing you come in and do, or the night before, is you have your list of stuff that you make in a day, and then you just take inventory, you see what you have, what you need, and you make a list of every single menial task that you have to do. Even if it's like, take the pie dough out of the freezer. The trick to doing it is for Thanksgiving, is to work backwards. So you want to take whatever takes the least amount of time, you move that towards the end. Like the stuffing I use stuffing from a bag, but that's what I like because I'm a classy lady. So my bagged stuffing takes about 5 minutes. So that's something I'm gonna do at the end, whereas I make like a fake meat tofurkey kind of deal. It's like a corn something I think this year. But I make one of those, and that takes me the day before. I want to stick it in a marinade, and then the day of I want it to bake for, I think it's like an hour or 2 hours. So that I'm gonna plan to have that at a different time than like the stuffing. So that I seem to see is most people's problem, is getting the timing right or being stressed out that something's not done at the right time. The other thing that's handy is to, what did I say? I said write down every step. Yeah, you gotta do that. Even if it's like, put this, so I'm gonna make my mashed potatoes, I'm gonna put those into boil. Then I'm going to prep a green bean casserole. And then I'm going to prep this. So I'm gonna get everything ready and write down every single step. It seems stupid to say that, but you're like, oh, it makes sense. And it's really handy to have that list. The next thing, have your list of ingredients. It's helpful to have that when you're going shopping, obviously. My dog's always in the way. And then do as much prep as possible the day before or in the days leading up to it. So if you have like breads you're gonna bake, or cranberry sauce or something that you're gonna make, it's really helpful to make those the day before. Or a pie. I made my pie dough on Sunday because that's when I had time. I stuck it in the freezer, and then I'm gonna make my pumpkin pie on Tuesday night, so that's tomorrow night, and then let it chill because that's the time that I have available to do that. So if you can't make stuff beforehand, you can at least prep it. Like I'm gonna make Brussels sprouts this year, you know, traditional Thanksgiving food. So I'm gonna cut them all up, and then I'm gonna put a sauce over them. So I'm gonna cut up the Brussels sprouts, put them in a Tupperware, put them in the fridge, mix up the sauce, put it all together, put it in the fridge. So then when the day comes, I can just pour them out on the plate, roast them, and then toss them all together. Everything's already made. So what you're doing the day that you're, the day of your meal or whatever. So in this case, Thanksgiving, you're just assembling. That's all you have to do. So that way you've just done all of the grunt work, and then when people come over and they say, can I help you? You can just say, no, I'm just throwing it together, and you look awesome. So that is really helpful. Or if you're making a pie and you don't want to bake it till that day, make the crust, put it in the shell, freeze the shell, make the filling, put it in a Tupperware, put it in the fridge, and then that day you just take it out of the freezer, plop it in, shove it in the oven, and then there's your pie. So it's really, that's the best way to do it, and it'll save you stress, because then if you screw it up the day before, you still have time to correct it, whereas day of, probably not a lot of stores open on Thanksgiving. The other thing is really helpful, figure out what pots and pans you're gonna use beforehand and where everything will go in the oven. Not something a lot of people think about, but very helpful. The other tips I have right now are for pie dough. Pastry is my specialty, and I have a really good recipe. I'll post it in the I'll post it down below. But there's a couple things that people frequently overlook that can compromise your pie dough. I was just talking to some friends about this the other day. So anyway, for pie dough, you want to make sure everything is ice cold. So even if that means you have to put it in the freezer, do that. You can put your dry ingredients in the freezer. So you want to like mix your flour, your sugar, and your salt. You can stick it in the freezer. Cut up the butter and sugar, or the butter and shortening into chunks. Put it back in the freezer. Anytime it comes out, you want to work with it as little as possible. Pie dough shouldn't be, I mean, when you put it in the pan and you want to do those little crimpy dealios, then it's okay to be a little bit soft, but then you want to freeze it again before you pull it out and stick it in there. And if you're using water, it needs to be ice water. Yeah, everything being cold. When you mix it, don't use a mixer of any kind, hand mixer, stand mixer, whatever. Just use your hands. They'll get gross, but you don't have short fingernails. Wash them before and after. You'll live through it. You want to build as little gluten as possible, so like pick up chunks and squeeze them, and that will bind it together. You do the butter and the shortening and all the dry ingredients, and then slowly add a little bit of water and do that like picking up and grabbing motion, and then eventually it should stick together. I've mentioned this before. When you go to put it in plastic wrap or plastic bag, freezer bag, whatever, shape it into a disc, like a 1 inch thick at the thickest disc, so that way when you go to roll it out, you're just starting ahead of the pack. A lot of people do it in a ball. You never want to do that. You want to do it in like a disc, small plate size thing, and that way you can stack a bunch on top. Another thing, store it in the freezer if it's going to be more than a couple days. It can kind of start to get like grayish and discolored if you leave it in the fridge unbaked, say for a week, but if it's going to be a couple days, it's fine in the fridge. I like to put mine in the freezer anyway, and then take it out to move it to the fridge to defrost it about 12 hours before I'm going to do it. So I'm going to make my pie tomorrow night after work, so that means I'm going to take it out of the freezer at, tomorrow before work. Or tonight, because I'll probably forget tomorrow morning. The last tip is how to roll out pie dough. I show this in a video. It's the mini quiche video. I had to look it up. It's in fast forward, so might not be the greatest quality. But when you roll it out, I wish I could show you, but my pie dough is frozen. When you roll it out, you want to make sure you have a little flour down, and you want to roll it with light, even pressure. You don't want to do the thing, this is what I used to do, and you take it and you whack the center of it and then really like try to dig out that groove. It's just gonna screw up your pie dough and make you roll mad. So don't do that. You want to roll with light, even pressure, and then pick it up and twist it, and just try to keep it in a circle for as long as you can, and that way you don't get any weird shapes or anything. So just roll it like I'm doing a really good job miming. I should be an actor. So roll out your pie dough, just even strokes, pick it up. If it starts to stick a little bit, just shoot a little bit of a flour under there. So yeah, a light, nice, even pressure. Let's see. And yeah, oh, and when you transfer it, you can I don't have my rolling pin, but you'll have it spread out, and you can kind of lightly roll it up and then lightly unroll it over your pie pan, what have you. So those are my current holiday tips. Do you have questions? Because I have answers. Please let me use this knowledge. It validates my time and effort going to culinary school, being that I don't work in the industry anymore. So yeah, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I will answer you. Maybe I'll make another video. I would love to do more of these, so let me know what you want to know. And till next time.